Welcome to a special interview episode of the Radio Vagabond. I'm here in Syria with my favorite travel couple. I just thought of Anya and James from Utah.
Oh, okay.
So
now you have to rephrase
it.
Yeah, so
your second
let me just do it
travel?
again. Welcome to a special interview episode here from Syria with my second favorite travel couple. And this is... I just thought of Mike and Patricia that I know from the Nomad Cruise. And I was just on a cruise with them, and I called them my favorite travel couple.
Okay.
We are rapidly declining in this ranking.
Welcome to a special interview episode here from Syria with my... But there is also from New Zealand, Dane and Stacy. They're YouTubers, and Danger and Stacy. They're amazing people.
That's a great name.
Yeah, they're amazing people as well, and they just got married. So I would feel bad about not having them on the top. So
we could be your favorite middle-aged American grandparents.
Travel couple.
Couple.
Yeah.
Qualifiers help us.
Okay. Let me just. Welcome to a special interview episode of the Radio Vagabond. I'm here in Syria with my favorite middle-aged grandparent travel couple from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Yeah.
We've got the market cornered on that.
Yeah.
Tough competition. How about we give you our street address?
East-West Chattanooga.
Our favorite American traveling grandparent couple who live on Duncan Avenue in Highland Park.
Case in point.
Okay, I'm here with Case and Point. And my name is Palabo. Welcome to the Radio Vagabond.
Travel is possible at any age. Your sense of adventure is just over the horizon. So, reach out and grab it. This is the Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
This week, I have an interview for you. Well, basically, it's just a conversation with my favorite middle-aged grandparent travel couple from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And you'll get that while I'm working on a regular episode from Georgia, the country, not the state. You'll get that next week. It's Michael and Angela Ballard, the adventurous duo behind We Married Adventure. They've traveled to over 120 countries across all 7 continents. As travel journalists and educators, they're passionate about sharing their experiences and helping others explore the world more deeply. They contribute to major outlets like ABC TV, Lonely Planet, and Atlas Obscura. Currently, they're on a global journey while continuing to inspire others with their unique approach to adventure and discovery. My name is Palabo, and this is the Radio Vagabond. We Married Adventure, a travel love story with Mike and Angela. Michael and Angela, and your outlet is We Married Adventure.
Yes.
So when did you marry Adventure?
Ooh.
We have been married for 16 years.
Yes.
And when Michael proposed to me, I said that I would marry him if we could have some adventure. In particular, a very big trip for our 5th anniversary. He grew up in Saudi Arabia, had traveled all over. You had how many countries?
30-something.
By the time
By
you
the
were
time
15.
I was, yeah.
And that's a lot for an American.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
when many
especially one
Americans,
from Winchester, Tennessee.
Yeah.
But,
most Americans at that point, certainly fewer, I think probably had passports than now even. And I had only traveled in North America, so Mexico, Canada, the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And I heard all these exotic stories of his family seeing the world. And so I said, I will marry you if for our 5th anniversary, we can go to Morocco.
Yes.
And so we were approaching our 5th anniversary and hadn't really talked much about it since we'd gotten married, busy raising his boys and living life. So I just bought tickets to Spain, and we did Spain and Gibraltar and Morocco, and haven't stopped since.
Yes. Did you tell him that you bought them?
Well, yes, I mean.
She said, you were supposed to do this, but here they are. So,
No.
It was, we knew it. We knew it was coming. And and both of us fell in love with Morocco at that point. And I mean, really haven't looked back since that day. So yeah.
And Michael, how did you propose?
Well, the boys were with me. And
the boys were
the boys were younger. How old was Ben? Was
16 years ago.
They were 6 and 10.
6 and 10. Yeah. So
great age.
Yeah. And I mean, they loved Angela to death, and of course, but I had custody, and so it was definitely the guys are inviting a new person into the home. And
it wasn't just us getting married, it was me joining their family.
Right. And to the point, so I told the boys, I said, I'm going to propose. We were walking in Chattanooga along the river. And
you told the boys?
I told them. I said, so are you okay with this? I would like to propose to her, and I want you there because it's really all of us. And, Ben, she might say no to you. Okay? So yes to me and Zach, no to Ben. But, and they were both, yes, of course, absolutely. We would love to be there. And I mean, they're kids, so yeah, while we're walking, before I could pop the question, I'm kind of hemming and hawing, and Ben said, so are you going to join our family or not? And
I didn't realize it was a proposal. He's 6 years old. He may have talked to a friend at school or seen something on television. I didn't know what was going on. And so I look at Mike, and he's kind of looking at me, and Zach says, well, if you say yes, Dad said we can have ice cream.
Yes. Yeah. Will you marry? So I brought a couple of supportive wingmen. I brought wingmen to the proposal, and
bribed them with ice cream.
Yeah. So that's how that went down. And
so will you marry us?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Very much so.
And the We Married Adventure thing. I read a book. There's a fantastic book. Osa Johnson. Yes, I never can remember that. But it's I Married Adventure, and it's about a woman's travels in Africa with her husband, and basically he was the adventurer, and then she becomes an adventurer with him, and
that's kind of my approach to travel.
Yeah.
Mike is far more adventurous than I am with all of this, and far more ambitious about what he wants to see and where he wants to go, and I just really love hanging out with him, so I'll go wherever he is. And lots of times I don't even know where we're going. He does all of the research and the planning, and I'm really just along for the ride and wanting to hang out with him. And so read that book, and as we were starting to do more, starting to share our travels with other people, which led to writing for Lonely Planet and doing some television reporting as travel correspondents for ABC Television. We kind of needed to formalize who and what we were, as one does in this day and age. And I thought of that book, and I thought, okay, well, we can't call it I Married Adventure. That's just, completely ripping her off.
Yeah, it was copyrighted.
But also the point was that we are doing it together, and I am only one country away from his country count, because we have seen every country that we have seen together except one, and I will get there.
Yes.
Which one is that?
Sudan.
Which he saw as a child.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Well, teenager, but yeah. And Sudan's very tough right now, so it's hard to just kind of blow through Sudan. But we'll get there.
And it's different traveling as a couple. You have different interests, different stamina, different everything really, different needs as especially a male-female couple. It's a lot of balance, which is difficult when, especially the more adventuresome your travel becomes. It's I think quite a challenge to balance everyone's needs.
Yeah, people say that the real test of a relationship is when you travel with them.
Absolutely.
Oh, and we have talked to our boys about that too, and said, you can have a long-term person you date, you can have a partner you live with, but travel, that brings out a different aspect in the relationship, because it is constant problem solving and flexibility and all kinds of skill development that you may not see even in your daily life living with someone if you're in your routine and kind of in your comfort zone.
Yeah, and I mean, travel is a relationship. It's you and the world, you and the road, right? And you have to work hard at it. You as a solo traveler or a couple traveler or a travel guide, there's a lot of work involved in making travel economical, affordable, good, adventurous.
Interesting. Fun.
Just like a marriage. A marriage is the exact same thing. You know, you wake up every day not exactly knowing what is going to happen. And that's wonderful. And we enjoy that controlled chaos in our lives. The same kind of controlled chaos that we get while we travel. So it's definitely defining for us.
I calculate that you say 16 years and 5 years in, so it's been 11 years of travel, 10, 11 years or so?
Yeah, we took a cross-country road trip with the boys in 2012, so that was seeing the United States, picking up a lot of... she was born in California, I'd been there once, but we hadn't really seen...
and I wanted the boys to see where I was born, where I was from.
And I love a road trip, so why not? Drove across the states.
And we love national parks.
Yes.
So as a family, that was our adventure.
Yeah. And then it just, as it does, it snowballed after that. The next year, 2013, Angela and the boys both got their all got their dive certifications, and so we went on a dive trip. Cool. And the boys loved that.
All four of you dived?
Yes.
Yeah. I cut my teeth in Saudi Arabia, learned how to dive, Persian Gulf, Red Sea. So
dove when his wetsuit was blue jeans.
Blue jeans.
That's how long he's been scuba diving.
Before there were really wetsuits. Okay.
Yeah, that was old school.
Yeah.
It was a please don't sting me jellyfish pants in the water.
and hard to get on the boat, but because they get heavy.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, it was also shore diving, which that's a whole other thing. Shore diving in Saudi Arabia, but yeah, we're all divers, and so we kind of leaned into that as a travel destination, travel purpose. And then...
after we took the trip to Morocco and Spain and Gibraltar, at that point, I have to admit, I was terrified before we left for that trip. It was completely overwhelming to me conceptually. I'd been looking forward to this for 5 years, and the time came, and I remember sitting on the floor, packing my suitcase, and just having a meltdown because it was all so unknown to me and so quite literally foreign.
Yeah, first time out of the Western Hemisphere, first time to Europe.
Yes.
So
and worried about all of the things that many Americans worry about before they travel that turn out to be completely unfounded. It's just that America is so America-centric. And so we sort of grew up in this bubble that if it's not America, it's terrifying and scary and all of those things.
And here we are in Syria.
Exactly.
Yes.
So took that trip, though, and had just the most amazing time. So much so that I subsequently took a solo trip to Morocco and volunteered as an English teacher and just absolutely adored it. But when we came back from that trip, I was so excited about it. I said, okay, well, I definitely want to share this feeling with the boys. And obviously, Michael wanted the boys to have all of these worldly experiences that he had that were so formative for him as a child. So for the boys, their first trip abroad was to Turkey and Greece. We did a sailing trip. We rented a yacht, which sounds far more luxurious than it was.
Sounds bougie.
This was literally affordable. Floating camping.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was amazing. They had such a wonderful time that their next trip abroad was to India. And they really just haven't stopped on their own, individually and with us.
Yeah.
And I met Ben in Lebanon, in Beirut. Him and his girlfriend. Does Zach travel equally as much?
He doesn't. But it's mostly circumstantial. Zach was in the Army, and now he's out. He's in the National Guard now, but he's in he's doing college,
and he's a dad.
So I mean, he's a little bit behind as far as that goes, but he really wants to go. And so for the end of this year, I gave him and his girlfriend a cruise in Europe. And that's going to be the first time that she's been to Europe. Cool. And Zach, and they also are going to go to Tunisia as a stop. Yeah. And just kind of wet her feet, get her a little bit excited about it.
The same way I started. And
you are an influencer.
Oh, absolutely.
I try to be. I'm like just positive. I whether you've traveled extensively or whether you've just started traveling to another state or something, I believe in travel. I truly fundamentally believe that it is life-changing for you and life-changing for the other people if you have an open heart and an open mind. It's the greatest thing that you can do for the money. It really is.
And I really, really enjoy, even before I started my big travels in 2016, every time there was a birthday with one of my kids, it was like, here, let's go to London, just you and me, or let's do this. And then when I started traveling, my youngest had a gap year, so she joined me for 4 months, even took her to North Korea, all through Asia, and it was amazing. So many memories. And when I was in Cape Town, they bought a ticket and flew down and saw me. I didn't even know. They said, "Oh, we're coming next week."
What a lovely surprise.
Yeah, and we took a road trip around the UK. When I was in Greece, my youngest joined me there. She's very much into Greek mythology. And then I was in Mexico, and my oldest flew over and spent 2 weeks with me in Playa del Carmen. So, and those moments, like, I treasure them so much because that's where you create the memories.
Yeah, and traveling to meet family or good friends. Like both of you or all of you arriving in that one destination. I mean, it's the most beautiful city in the world can't compare to that moment of seeing those friends that you haven't seen in years in a new place.
Yes. By the way, my oldest also flew to Tokyo during cherry blossom season to join me in Clara. So we had a couple of weeks there in Tokyo.
That's
a bucket list right there.
We timed it.
Easy.
I know.
She wants it so bad. She loves Japan.
Well, you were speaking of birthdays and holidays. That's something that we decided as parents pretty much from day one, that we didn't want them to have stuff. We wanted them to have experiences.
Right.
And so we haven't given actual presents, wrapped gifts and things
Years.
at least 12 years, at least.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more valuable. And we kind of made that transition. We teach some travel classes, and for a lot of people, it's just sort of shifting the mindset. And we actually teach a class about giving the gift of travel. And more people sign up for that class trying to learn how to switch from giving tangible things to experiences, because there's so much built-in expectation for holidays that there's a wrapped thing on the table under a tree, whatever the holiday may be. And so part of what we talk about is we are going to have to buy supplies for a trip. Michael talked about the scuba diving trip that we took after the whole family was certified to dive. And we knew we'd have to buy gear. We'd have to buy sunscreen. They're growing boys. They need new swimsuits and flip-flops and all of those things. So we turned it into a game, and we just wrapped up those things in sort of increasing specificity for the goal, for the destination. And they got to guess with each thing that they opened, where might we be going and what might we be doing? And they enjoyed the guessing, and it actually kind of contributed to some love of geography and that sort of thing for them as well, because they needed to know more places as we traveled more broadly, because they needed better guesses about where they might be going next. So that was, I think that was a successful transition for our family that's replicable for other families who are wanting to have shared adventures, which are very different from solo trips.
Yeah, and you hope that you have multiple epiphanies throughout your life. That was one of them. Like, we don't have to buy stuff. We need to reduce this footprint that we have here and increase the footprint we have in our brains.
And before I started traveling, I was selling out everything. So, and you talked about just before the Morocco trip, you were freaking out. When I had sold my house, I was still living in it, and I was selling out my furniture piece by piece. They got more and more echo in my living room because there goes the sofa, there goes the this and that. And at some point I was like, what am I doing?
The reality kicks in.
What am I doing? And it was 2 months before my journey, and I thought, this is a big mistake. I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to be in a fetal position on my couch, watching Netflix on my TV. And what am I doing?
How did you get past that?
I got on the bus,
That's it.
And that's it.
Yes.
And I have not regretted a single day. I thought I would travel for 2 years, maybe 4, and now it's been 8, and I feel I've only just started. So, yeah, but the time before, I was like, ooh, is this a mistake?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand that. Michael he's eligible now to retire from his job, but we have family in town and kind of getting everything settled and trying to ease into that a little slower. The whole transition of selling the house, selling all the furniture, selling everything and uprooting. And I'm not sure which is harder, doing it quickly or doing it slowly, because we have been now, probably since before the pandemic, downsizing, getting rid of unnecessary things, and essentially trying to keep us from having to do every bit of it at once, because we know that's our plan, that's our goal, that's what we want to do.
Fully nomadic.
Yes.
Yeah. Except I bought a chessboard today.
A portable chessboard.
A portable chessboard. So something else we got. And it's a backgammon board. It's a twofer.
There you go. There you go.
You can follow Palabo on his Facebook page. Join the conversation about traveling and being a digital nomad. You can also see pictures, videos, and stories that don't necessarily make it into the podcast. Simply search for the Radio Vagabond.
I had so much stuff in my house, and I also bought a lot of stuff because I had a place to put it.
That is the key right
Yeah.
there. And particularly, I think, for Americans, many of whom live in these very large homes. Not everyone, absolutely not. But many people do, and those who have those large homes tend to fill them with stuff. And then when they fill that with stuff, they fill the garage with stuff, and they rent a storage unit and fill it with stuff. And somehow that...
Maybe we should get a bigger house.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a Murphy's Law thing.
Yeah.
Junk fills the available space. That's
It's the vacuum of home ownership or rentership.
Yes. Yeah. House poor.
And the change for me, when Michael took a 1-year sabbatical from his full-time job as an education administrator, we only traveled with carry-ons for 12 months. And knowing that I can exist in 100 different countries on all 7 continents with only what I can carry on my back or in my hand, that really is a shift when you get back to the house and you think, oh my goodness, how many things am I dusting?
Yeah.
How many things am I polishing?
Exactly.
How many things am I washing?
How
that
do I
are
feel
irrelevant?
about that thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
And does it give me joy enough to pack up and take somewhere else?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
the answer is usually no.
Exactly. And when I get a home base, because I think I will at some point, it's never going to be the big house again,
No.
because I'm so used to living in a small place.
Yes.
I'd much rather spend my money on more travels. Even if I have a home base, I don't need to stay there all the time. And just a little tiny house or an apartment.
I would happily have a single room that had a balcony, a patio,
Yeah.
a garden.
I like that.
That's within walking distance of a community that I can enjoy, rather than spending my time inside a large house, if not daily, at least once a week, cleaning everything, polishing everything, dusting everything, over and over the same things every time.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting what your litmus test becomes for how you live your life when you're not on the road. And you go to a nice dinner, maybe it's an anniversary, maybe it's some kind of special thing, and you drop $150 and you're like, that's a one-way flight to Europe. Why would that steak was great, but I could be in Paris right now. Well, not Paris. I could be in Madrid right now. Sorry, Paris. It's the how you measure your life becomes very different once you make the transition from and apologies to normal people, once you become a traveler as opposed to someone who doesn't extensively.
Let's just.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
I was just going to say there's a financial podcaster whose tagline is "Afford Anything," and she says something that really changed my perspective on that. You can afford anything. You can. You may have to save and work your whole life. Before we took our 1-year trip around the world, we saved for that trip for 5 years. I made a lot of sacrifices along the way. Yes. She says you can afford anything, you can't afford everything. And making that choice between, having a restaurant meal or visiting another country, that the priorities definitely shift.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in our boys too, that even as young adults, they prioritize differently now that they know where they can go if they plan appropriately.
Yeah. Let's just take a quick break, and we need to fill the glasses.
Oh, absolutely. A word from our sponsor.
Yeah. When we come back, we're going to hear a little bit more about the TV thing that you briefly mentioned, and a little bit about your travels. But we could talk forever, and we're not gonna. So let's just. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels around the world. Hotels25.com. So have you heard of Hotels25.com?
No.
It's a place where you can book a place to stay. It searches Booking.com, Hotels.com, Expedia, Agoda, and a bunch of other sites in the same search. Mm-hmm. And then it lists them, and the same room can be cheaper on one or the other. And sometimes this place in Lebanon, I booked on Super.com, which I would never go to. But I found that through there. It was just cheaper on that site for some reason.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good to know.
What is it again?
Hotels25.com.
The word from our sponsor.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Oh my God, where do we begin? Let's just talk a little bit about the TV thing. You said that you are correspondents for travel correspondents.
Yes. Our local ABC television affiliate, about a year and a half ago, had us on to talk about packing hacks for spring break. Just a regular lifestyle show kind of thing to help viewers prepare for their trips. And we had such a good time that they talked to us and said, okay, we would love it if you would do 2 segments a month, one on a destination. Some of them can be domestic in America. Some of them can be international.
Syria.
Yes. We're going to talk about that in a different way for that particular show.
Yep.
And then we'd like for the others to be how to take your first international trip. Travel, health, and safety.
How to save money on a cruise.
Yes, just the basic things that...
How to find a flight to Mumbai.
Of course. In business class for less than $300.
Yep.
And so this has turned into something syndicated that we can share now with all of America, not just with Chattanooga.
Well, when they say they married adventure, they really mean it. Mike and Angela Ballard are constantly traveling the world, and today they're talking about an insane thing that they are embarking on. I'm not going to say it yet. You're going to find out. Hey, y'all, how are you?
Hey. We're happy to be here, as always.
I'm so happy to have you both. So give us an overview of this full year of travel.
Okay, so we're going to be circumnavigating, so that all the way around the globe. Sorry, flat earthers, it is round. And we're going to be going to 60 countries, 30 of which are new to us.
Yeah.
And
4 continents.
I can't believe there's countries that are still new to you, so that's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And going west. We like to circumnavigate going west. I don't know, it's like you're chasing the sunset.
I love that.
So romantic.
That is so romantic. And then, thankfully for us, you are our travel reporters. What are some locations you'll be reporting to all the viewers from?
Well, we're going to start in Fiji.
Okay.
As you should. You have to kick off retirement with something vacation-y, right?
And sit on the beach and take some dive trips and stuff like that. But yeah, Fiji to begin with.
Okay.
And then after that, we are headed to Bangkok, Thailand for the Extraordinary Travel Festival. So other people who travel around the world pretty much as their
full-time such a fun thing. We have the best time with them. We love the hosts of the show that gave us our first opportunity. So much so that we actually have cutouts of their faces. And so we call them, Flat Josh, Flat Sierra, Flat Diamond, and we take them with us on trips and do this.
Yeah.
So they have been traveling around the world with us for the past year and a half as well. And we have so much fun.
Yeah. We took them on a flight around to Everest. We were in Nepal.
A sunrise
and so
flight.
There they are with Everest in the background, and we're holding them up in the windows. And so that's fun. That's a good time. We have a lot of fun.
So the segments that you've you've been filming and you produce 5 to 10 minute bit.
They typically are, 4, 5, 6 minutes, and we will also answer questions on social media. So lots of times viewers will see the television segments and then have questions, which we love. And sometimes we will ask questions in advance. We just did a segment on, as I said, planning your first international trip. And so we asked the audience, what do you wish you'd known before you took your first international trip? Or if you haven't yet traveled abroad, what would you like to know? What would be helpful to know before that first big international leap? And we got dozens of amazing tips, so much so that we compiled them all in an article on our website, which is where we share additional information. So the television segments are kind of teasers for us sharing things more in depth.
And can we see the television segments on your website?
All of the good ones. all of the ones where I don't actually, fall off the stool kind of thing. So, although that would go viral, probably.
Yeah. But if you hadn't done gotten the TV gig, couldn't you have done this on YouTube and been YouTubers and travel YouTubers?
Remember, we are your third least favorite traveling grandparents from Chattanooga.
No.
So you have to understand that our audience is not necessarily watching everything on YouTube. Now they watch Michael.
I said YouTube. I didn't say TikTok.
Well,
or
Michael
Snapchat.
is on TikTok. He's on TikTok because Ben's girlfriend told him that old people were funny on TikTok. So now he does tip-top segments. But for us, there are so many young people traveling and sharing their perspective. It is very, very different traveling the world as a middle-aged person or older. And
I know.
Yes, you do.
And so the way we do it, we like to save money because that means we can see more places, but we are also not going to, sleep on a cot in a hostel in a, dorm room full of people. Because you are a braver soul.
You're also a Dane.
I'm a vagabond. Remember? I don't sleep under a bridge, though.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
We have grown accustomed to a certain standard of travel, and I mean,
first class to Mumbai.
Well, we always
easy to grow accustomed to that.
Yeah, it was the lie flat seats.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding.
And flying back home from that trip was murder.
Well,
because you get used to it. It's like, this is not what we're used to.
And we're not independently wealthy. We'll just go ahead and say that. I mean, I still have to work for a living, and Angela
I have
does
4
too.
jobs.
She has 4 jobs.
And I work while we travel.
Yes. And so, I mean, we have to be economical. It is very rare that we ever fly business class, but we
and
also...
you still have a house that you spend money on.
True.
Yes, true.
See,
yes,
I got
absolutely.
rid of that part.
Yeah, and car insurance, and but
and middle-aged hips.
Yeah. So yes, I mean we do like to have a little bit of a nicer hotel, a little bit of a nicer stay. We never go to a Ritz-Carlton or anything. Sorry, that's a free plug for them too. Sorry,
that we never go to.
That's not a plug at all. Save your money. Don't go there.
I'm a middle-aged woman going through perimenopause. I've got to be able to
have air conditioning
at this point in my life, or at least have consistent electricity for the portable fan with which I travel and that sort of thing. Yeah. It's very different for us versus the YouTubers and those folks. And I think most of the people who we are encouraging to travel are people like us who are either newly retired or about to retire and have worked their lives for this, but now all of a sudden we're in middle age and they are me before that trip to Morocco, sitting on the floor packing for that first trip, having a meltdown. And so we want to share the world in a way that makes it approachable and that makes it enjoyable and makes it a little less scary until they get out there and have all the stories to share with their friends and say, go to Syria, it's magical, and that kind of thing.
And a lot of people who are our audience, I mean, they've got a lot of skin in the game for this big international trip.
They've worked their whole life.
I've always dreamed to travel by train from Paris to Rome. This is my life dream. And so we lean into that too, and we say, yes, absolutely, this can be fantastic. Let us help you do it as best as we know how. And then hopefully all of the the surprises that they experience along that way, because Europe is, I mean, let's face it, the United States is more than New York. Europe is much more than Paris and Rome. And so, you know, the unscripted travel hopefully are the sparks that inspire them to keep on doing that. But if not, if this is the big trip of their life, then we want them to have the best that they could. And so that's our audience, really, honestly. Yeah. So
that's it for this week's episode of the Radio Vagabond. I hope you liked it and found it inspiring. And I can't wait to meet these guys again at the Extraordinary Travel Festival in Bangkok in November. It's a conference with some extreme travelers, and it's going to be exciting to meet so many inspiring people in one place. And yes, I will bring my microphones. By the way, if you're in the neighborhood and you want to go, I have a coupon code that'll get you $60 off the ticket price. Simply go to extraordinarytravelfest.com and use the code VAGABOND.
I would have loved to talk a lot about the different trips you've been on, but that's going to be next time. We're going to see you guys in Bangkok at the Extraordinary Travel Festival.
Can't wait.
We can do a part 2 of this.
Okay.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
Yes. And by the way, if you go to Denmark, you got to see more than just Copenhagen.
Indeed. Indeed.
Sorry. I cannot say that we have.
You really?
Yes.
For shame, Michael.
And only for 3 days. It was,
I think you moved up to number 3 on the list now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say who I put down at number 4. But,
I'm not getting too excited because this list seems very fluid.
My name is Palabo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.
Radio Vagabond. Produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.